What is up, guys? We are in episode 13 of this series, and if you haven't seen episode 12, you should go ahead and check that out. In episode 12, we did the basic setup of the project. We installed packages and structured out our components and all of the folders that we're going to need throughout that project. If you want to go ahead and check that one out, episode 12, I will leave a link in it in the little icon section of the video. In this episode, we're going to be working on the layout, the web version, and the mobile version. And then we're going to get into Tailwind to try to get that looking nice, along with doing some custom CSS to make the both layouts look decent. Alright, so that's what we're going to be doing in this episode, so let's get to it. Alright, I'm going to put that down. So I already got the project open. Make it bigger. There we go. So we're gonna start off doing the let's check out app.js for a second. Now app.js, I'm actually gonna wrap this in a React doc fragment. That way we can put multiple divs inside. Because you're not supposed to put multiple elements if you have one div. It's supposed to be one main div. And if you don't have one main div, it'll throw an error. But if you do React fragment, you're able to put like multiple elements. It doesn't have to be one main element. Okay, so that's why we're going to use React fragment in this one. That's going to wrap our home component. Then if we go over here and check out the home.js over here, what we're going to do for the home part is that we're going to import our sidebar and our editor, because they're going to be side by side. Okay, so what we can do here is we're going to wrap this also in a React fragment. Okay, so we're going to have one div that has the class name sidebar. We're going to have another one that's editor. Okay, and then we're going to bring in the components. That way it can be rendering out the components here. Okay, so if we go sidebar, it should auto import it, but I guess it's not in my case. You don't need the two there, like that. And then for this one, we'll register out the editor tour, like that. And then we're just gonna bring those in, since it didn't bring us in for us. Import editor from the same file, so it should do the auto complete, which is not, which is fine. Editor, do the same thing with the sidebar from the sidebar. Alright, now if we was to go render, if we was to go start the server, let's see what this looks like. Oh wait, we gotta make sure we CD into the client, so we won't start their backend server. We want to start the front end server. So CD into the client, and then do yarn start to start that. Would you like to run on different port? Oh yeah. All right. So it's running this. It's taking forever to run it, but it's right. Okay, so we got an error. / editor in pages. Are we in pages? Oh yeah, we are in pages. So it's /pages / editor. that. Still not catching it. Let me see. Pages slash. No, it's in components. I'm sorry. Components slash editor. That's what it is. Components slash sidebar. Okay. Alright. So now we should have it going. Okay. So you see, got an error of the home. Yeah, because we don't have anything in these components yet. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a... This is a React functional component. Okay? We're not going to do class. Most likely all of our components will be functional. But I'm not going to do it this way. I'm going to do it the ES6 way, which is doing arrow functions. So, of course, I'm going to export it, but that's going to be down here. Delete that there. I'm going to do const sidebar is equal to arrow function. That. And then we're going to export the sidebar like this. Alright, it's the structure I want to have for the editor as well. So do that. Editor. Okay. Just for so we can see some content is here, we'll say each one says I'm the editor, and the sidebar will say I'm the sidebar. So we're grabbing it, so it is rendering it. Okay. So next thing we got to do is that we got to structure these in a correct way. Okay. So if we go back to home, that's when the custom CSS slash tailwind comes in. Okay. So now the custom CSS part, what I want to do is I want to have the sidebar, of course, on the side, and then the editor on the other side. So that would mean that we have to have a main container. So we'll have to have a div class name equals container, right? And then we're going to wrap both of these divs inside like this. And then with this, I'll call it home container. With this home container, is going to be a flex box, basically. Okay, so if we go here and say home container, of course we got to give that like that. I did put as a class, right? Okay, yeah. We could do it in we could do flex items in Tailwind, but I'm really familiar doing it through the custom CSS, just regular CSS. I'm so familiar doing it that way because I did it so many times with my other projects. I think it's much faster me doing it this way. And then other stuff that we want to make look good, we're going to use Tailwind and all that stuff. But this is because I know for sure I can do like flex items in CSS within a heartbeat. So it's easy for me to do it custom style. Display flex, and then oh yeah, we gotta import it. That's why it's not showing up. So we gotta import the CSS. So we'll do, where is it? do home.css, and that should pick it up. There we go. Now that you can see it's right next to each other, because by default, display flex, the direction is in a row. Okay. Now if you, no, by default it's in a column, I think, because it's going downwards by default. Now if you had the flex direction um, row, then it will stack on top of each other, if I'm not mistaken. So we can test that out. Row, that's what it is by default, and then column is where you stack them. Okay, but we want it in a row. We want them next to each other. So next thing we got to do here is the height of it has to be 100%. Just so we can see something going on here, we're going to target our sidebar. We gave it the sidebar class right here. So we're targeting this, just the outer div. We're not targeting this, but the outer div, the wrapper basically. We're targeting that, and we need to give it a background color because I can't see it, what it looks like. Red. Yeah, and then the height of it needs to be 100% of the container, which is 100%. If I'm not mistaken, I might have to make it 100 viewport height. That way it goes all the way down. I'm seeing some margin here, so let's do a overall style and have the margin to 0 and the padding to 0. There we go. And then we're going to do the same thing with the editor. But the color's going to be like blue or something. The height is going to be 100%. Okay. Now, when it comes to the size of it, we got to think that we got to do mobile first, right? So we got to think on what it would look like on this screen. Okay. I think at this point, this is where tailwind comes in. All right. So what we're gonna do is, well, first of all, we gotta pull up the website. Tailwind CSS. Pull that up. What are we looking for? They have responsive design classes that you can put on for the class names. If I scroll down here, you got the mobile first approach. Let me see. Yeah, see, for the smalls, it starts at 640 pixels. Now, how we do responsive, like it's basically like media queries, basically, as you see. Now, how do we do that within here? This is exactly how. Let me go down. They usually have one that's like shows it better. Okay, we can use this example. So, like, for all screens, for example purposes, for all screens, this background color of this box is red, right? But for a smaller screen, like for the size, if we get like stupid small, the background is going to change to green. But if we were at like a medium screen, which is like a tablet possibly, the background is going to change to blue. If it gets to large, it changes to pink. Extra large, which is like a desktop and above, it'll change to teal. Okay, so these little parts right here, the small and then whatever you want to change, whatever you want the styles to be on that small screen, that's what it'll be. Okay. Um, so for our sidebar, at a small screen, which is like this, we want our sidebar to be, if I'm not mistaken, I think I did this custom style though. Let's just show you how this would work. On the small screen, we want the width of our sidebar, which is width dash. Anything that's dealing with the width, you do width dash, and then whatever size that they specify in the documentation. So if we go to width, say width dash 0 or 1, 2, or 3, and then it gives you basically what the property is. So if you do width dash 3, that's 75 rem. They don't use pixels, they use rems for their sizing. Okay, now and then when it goes to rems, it also goes to percents. Okay, so width dash 1/2, that's 50%. So if you do 1/2 dash, if you do width 1/2, and do have another div with a width of 1/2, of course that'll be 50 and 50. That'll be 100%. And they have different types of percents here. Um, and then if you scroll at the bottom, they have 100%, which is width full, and then you got 100% view width, which takes up the whole width. That's called width screen. Okay, so in our case, on a small, we want our width to be the whole screen. So on a small device, we want our sidebar to take up the whole screen on a small screen. Okay, so we can say width is full because that's 100%, and then the editor. And then the editor will have a width on a small screen. It'll have a width of 0. No, wait. Width of 0. Because you don't see the editor. I thought this was a small screen. It's not small. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me see. Did I put tailwind on there? I did not put tailwind on here. It'd be nice if I put tailwind on there. That's why it wasn't coming up. Other than that, that would have worked. Sorry about that. I thought I installed tailwind already. Alright, go back to the documentation. We're not going to install it. We're actually going to use the CDN. Okay, so let's go down here. Get this CDN right here. So we're going to add this CDN right there, save it. Okay, there we go. Now it's showing up. Okay, sorry about that. Now on a small screen, it looks like it's here, but I actually want it to be like right there. But on a small screen, their version of small screens is this here. Okay, I was thinking like doing it here, but I guess the smallest device will be right here. But as you can see, the width is at a full on the sidebar, and you don't see the editor. So that's what we want. But when it gets bigger, we want this to be on the side and then see the editor. Okay? So how we can do that is then we could say on a medium screen, we want the width of the editor to be about, what, like a half? So it takes up half of the screen. And say like we want, on medium, we want our width of our sidebar to be only a couple of percentages wide. So if we go here and do width again, we'll say we want it like, it's gonna look ugly, but just to show you, what's the highest? 64? 64 rem. Okay, it's not gonna look that big, but so this is small, so we look like a medium. Okay, this is medium. Okay, you're hitting the medium breakpoint right here. But we still have like some white space, so we got to make this editor more wider. What is wider than a half? And I can't say full, because then it will be like, it'll take up the whole screen. Oh no, it wouldn't. I mean, it kind of took up some of the space over there. But see, even with doing that, the sidebar is still too small. So I think this is why I went towards wanting to do custom CSS, because it's still too small. So therefore, on the home, in the media queries area, so if we say media queries, if we say add media screen, so we'll say the max width. So the max width is 640 pixels and up. No, and down. So 640 and down. So max width 640 pix. So that's 640 pix and lower. Okay. We want the sidebar, the width, to be at we want the width to be that what, at like 60 pix. Oh no, that's not it. I think it's a rem. Let me try rem. 20 rem. 25 rem. Yeah. And then the editor, you can't see the editor, right? So the width for that one would be 0. Hope it's not conflicting with these, so let me take these off. $35. Okay. Okay. So 640 and below, the width of the sidebar is 35 rem. And then you can't see the editor, so the width is a 0. Okay? But if you're not at this breakpoint, if you're not at 640 and low, and if you're at 640 and above, then you can see the editor. So the width of the editor would be, it'll take up 80% of the screen, right? And then with the sidebar, we'll say the width will take up 25% of the screen, if I'm not mistaken. So if we go here, it'll show like that, right? But when we resize this, I don't want the sidebar to move. I want that to be, to stay at a constant size. So I'm going to go with pixels instead of percentages. I'm going to go with, like, uh, 25 rem. Okay, that looks good. And then it moves it a little bit, but not as much. There we go. Okay, so we made that somewhat responsive, as you can see. When we go here, we'll just see the sidebar. But when we go here, it shows everything else. So that's looking good. Okay. Now, what was the next thing we gotta do? Forgot. Okay. So we're still styling this, right? Let's see. I think the next thing I would do, probably be the last thing, would be to get the sidebar going, possibly. I might want to get the sidebar up to par. Of course, we're going to change the colorings and all that stuff. Let me go to EverNote. And I wanted to log in. Now, our background color can be something we can actually know, because they don't have this type of color in Tailwind. They have like different types of bright colors, but I don't want to go for bright because this is not what the color is on here. So I'm just going to pick the color that's on here, which is F8, F8. And then I'm going to go to the sidebar and make it this background color, like that. The color of the editor is white, so I should probably just do FFFF, like that. You can somewhat see it. See like the difference. You can see that split right there. Okay. The next thing I want to do is get the sidebar looking up to par. So I got the React fragment. So we gotta break these up into divs. Well, sections. So we got a whole section here. So we got the React fragment. That doesn't count. But we have a section here. And in this section of the sidebar, you're going to have the top part, and then you're going to have the notes list. Okay, now if you're not familiar, the top part is this part. Okay, so we're going to have this part, and then this is considered the note list. So I want to make that. So we have a div with the class of, I'll call it header top, or should I call that section header top? No, I think I can call this header top. And then at the bottom is the div with the class name of note list, note dash list, like that. Okay. Now at the header top, you got the div header title, and the title is referring to this right here. Okay, so if we look at this one, it probably will make sense. So we got the header top div, which is this whole header top here, and then we got the div with the header title, and that's gonna say all notes, and then we're gonna have another div for the note count, and then for the, yeah, so ours is gonna look just a tad bit different. So we're gonna have 3 of them like that, and then this one is gonna say like how many counts we got. So one notes, and then this one's gonna be, let me see, header top title. These are gonna be on the same row though. My namings are gonna be like really all bad, but you'll kind of understand what I'm going here with this. So I'm gonna call this like header below or something like that. Yeah, I gotta work on my naming convention, but. And then we're gonna put this here. Okay, now the reason I got this wrapped in a whole div is because this is gonna be in the same row. Okay, so we're gonna put a display flex. That way these two can sit next to each other, just like these two are. And then this one's gonna be by itself, which is at the top there. Okay. We're actually gonna have another one. I lied by saying we're only gonna have 3. We're gonna have another one that says login and register. It's not the same here. We're just we're implementing those in ours. Okay. It's probably a long name. Header notes. No, that's probably here. Header notes. Header filter. Header login. Header register. And then that might look like a whole bunch of hoopla. But let me see. If I do header below, in the sidebar CSS, so we're not going to put that in the home. we're gonna put that in a, this is all of the sidebar styles we're gonna put here. So we're gonna create a new component basically, but it's gonna be the CSS. So sidebar.css, header below, display flex there, and if we go here, well, we gotta import it, of course. So sidebar, gotta import that CSS slash sidebar.css. There we go. Okay, so you can see these are below each other. Now, all notes. Now if I do header top, and put another, I'm gonna wrap this in another div. Sorry, this is so many divs in here, but it'll make sense once I get it down. So we're gonna call this header account, okay? And these are gonna be associated with the links of login and register, all right? Because that's dealing with the account. Save that. Okay. Now if we go header account display flex, is gonna put these two items next to each other. So let's see. Header count display flex. It's gonna put those next to each other. Now we need to put all of this next to each other. So what we can do is we can do header top, header below, now if I do a header top, which actually should be first, header top display flex here. There we go. See, now they're all next to each other. Okay. Whew, yeah, I know that was a lot. Now we just gotta spread them out, which is not bad. The only thing that'll help it is that I have to make this section here equal to did I call this sidebar container anywhere else? No, I called it. Okay. Sidebar container. Oh. Now the sidebar container is just going to have the width is going to be 100%. That way we can space it out. Container. Contain. Can't spell. Width is 100%. And then if I was to go justify content, which puts space between everything, I can say the space, it can be space between, seeing it put space between them two, right? I'm going to put some padding, of course, and then space between these two as well. So what we'll do is we can do, oh, I don't know why it does that. The below part, we're going to have justified content space between as well. And that puts space between as well. Alright. Now, of course, that's not going to say all notes. It's going to be filter. I'm going to call it filter options, but we're going to do much more to that once we get further into it. Alright. So, we got that down. Let me go ahead and, let's see here. There should be some padding. Up and down is like, what, 5 EM? Left and right is, oh, that's too much, sorry. 1 EM? And then left and right is 1 EM. Top and bottom and left to right, 1 EM. Still looks kind of big, so. Yeah. The border. 1 pick solid red just to see what it looks like. There we go. I'm gonna put some margin. Notes list. I'm trying to figure out like is it header top margin? Let me see. I could do that with tailwind. It has the class of MT, which means margin top, and then you specify a number. Oh no, okay. No, I'm thinking like the space between them all. So like margin bottom 3. 4. Oh, it's bringing them down. Okay, cool. Yeah, I want that to be like a really somewhat big number. So margin, let's see. These are the classes you can do. This is putting margin all the way around, but if you want to specify which side you want to do it to, then you go down here to margin MR, which is margin right, margin bottom, margin left, margin top. Okay, and then you can specify which number. Margin X is basically the x-axis, which means going across. So margin left and right. And then if you see a margin Y, it means top and bottom. So margin top and bottom when you do X, MY. Yeah, top and bottom. Just like the picture. But we're doing, what are we doing? We're not doing top and bottom. We're just doing bottom. And I'm looking for a bigger number. Like, 8 or something. Margin bottom 8. 12. Okay. Now these, of course, would be like any H3. It says all notes. I don't know why it's not showing up in H3. But, and then we can actually do padding. Padding is the same way. Padding right, padding left. I'm going to put some padding to the left, no, the right of the login. So I'll say padding right. It's going to be like 3. There we go. Looks good. Looks good. So, and then the notes was going to be here. I'm going to stop there. Because the video is probably getting super duper long, but it's alright. That's a good start. That's a good place to stop. And then in the next one, we'll start really getting into getting this looking more like our EverNote here. And then we'll possibly work on the modal if we have chance in the next episode. If not, we'll do it in another one. But the goal for the next one is to finish this and possibly work on the modal if we have enough time. So that's my plan. And yeah, I'm going to end it right here. But that's my plan to do in the next one. So sorry if this video got a little long. But if you did like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. And I will see you guys in the next one.